Coming up in the news, the sports minister addressing substandard conditions within his portfolio. A local pastor weighing in on child protection in the country. And the University of the Bahamas gearing up to help make entrepreneurial dreams a reality. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture addressing the substandard conditions employees under his portfolio in Grand Bahama are working under while making his contribution in the House of Assembly. Remiko Knowles has more.
During his inaugural address in the lower chamber, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario BOWLEG, stated that since assuming his role, his immediate focus has been on conducting assessments on the state of the multiple facilities in the ministry's inventory. He says his findings in Grand Bahama were very disturbing.
I traveled to Grand Bahama, where I was accompanied by the Member of Parliament for Pine Ridge, where I met with my team there. They shared their concerns and, despite their current difficult working conditions, remain motivated and committed to continuing the work of the ministry. Of particular note, the staff in Grand Bahama, whose office accommodation was destroyed during the passage of Hurricane Dorian, still remains without an office.
The remarks sparking backlash from former Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Aram Lewis. The Central Grand Bahama MP says that under the former administration, an office was identified for the employees.
You mentioned that the employees in Grand Bahama are working in extreme conditions. An office space was identified, design, construction had already been taking place. It's only a matter of furniture being placed and the utilities turned on. So just to help you, the office space was already identified.
The Honorable Mario BOWLEG acknowledged that a facility was identified by the former administration. However, he pointed out that after touring the office space and meeting with staffers at the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture in Grand Bahama, the office space selected was found to be unsatisfactory.
There was a facility that was identified. However, upon my inspection and by the advice from the technicals from the Ministry of Waste, it was advised that that's a poor building for us to use for my staff.
Staff members of that ministry were out of a permanent home and working space since the passing of Hurricane Dorian due to damages to their facilities. During his first official trip to Grand Bahama, Minister BOWLEG toured 3 office spaces and he allowed staffers to select which one they thought was best.
I allowed my staff to choose a building. They have chosen one, and we are about to rent that building. So they are quite happy. And to my Grand Bahamian staff who is listening, I'm sure you know there's a new day and great things are coming.
Remiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Tonight, a local pastor and youth mentor is weighing in on the protection of children in society. The former guidance counselor says that creating lines of communication between trusted adults and children in their care is key. Youth leader and founder of Family Empowerment Youth Organization, Pastor Wayne Carey, sharing his advice as it relates to creating better relationships between parents and children to help prevent child abuse. Pastor Carey says that although it may be uncomfortable for parents to have certain conversations, the issues must be addressed.
This discussion needs to be from 2 years old to about 7 years old. You can have this conversation. Most parents are uncomfortable of talking about it. But here's what I would suggest. You can have, you have YouTube, you have cartoons that teaches these things. So it's an introduction of how you can teach it if you are uncomfortable in talking about it or teaching it to your kids. You can play it and you can stop and then you can explain. And then, then they can have an understanding of that. What is the bad touch? What is the gut touch? What is the unwanted touches?
He adds that parents must be aware of what their children are bringing home.
If, as a parent, your kid comes home with something that you didn't give them, where did it come from? Who gave it to you? These things can be an introduction to the unwanted touches, because if someone is kind of giving you something and you are taking it, you are saying, no, my father, my mom does not want me to have this, and they see that you alert, they go on to someone else. And so we have to make our kids, we have to make them aware of it, have the conversation as early as possible, even though it's uncomfortable. But we can't trust anyone, because again, when this happen, it's really never the stranger.
The mentor adds that parents must also teach their children to avoid conversations that make them uncomfortable or are age inappropriate.
So when we having, conversations, if I'm saying to my 10-year-old son, if there's a conversation that is happening, and it's not a conversation that myself and your mom that we would have with you on a regular basis, if you are uneasy with this conversation, is a different conversation, then you need to let us know about that. Be very uncomfortable with this conversation is leading you into a regular part of the way that we speak to you. If it's something that's irregular, then you know what I'm saying, they need to just know that this conversation is a healthy conversation, because this is what my mom, my dad told me.
Now, while parents must take the lead in having the tough conversations, Pastor Carey says that parents must also ensure that their children feel comfortable speaking up and sharing with trusted adults.
Once the conversation happens, that's okay. It may not be mom and dad, but once the conversation happens, whether they have this one person there, it could be the godfather, the godmother, someone is there, that this line of communication is open up for that child to say, this is what happened. And so once you say, you're not questioning the child. It's like, if it's said that there's some inappropriate touches being on, then we have to say yes to that until we find out that it isn't so. But we can't just, and that's the thing about it, we find if kids say it, we don't follow up on it. It's like, if the kids say it, you have to follow up on it consistently and make sure that it isn't so.
In other news, members of the Grand Bahama Remembrance Day Committee, along with band leaders from Grand Bahama, meeting in the office of the Prime Minister in recognition of Remembrance Day. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Commonwealth Group of the British Legion branches, including the British Legion Bahamas branch. It also marks the 100th anniversary of the poppy, which is the symbol of Remembrance Day. The Minister for Grand Bahama was on hand to present poppies. Rumiko Knowles reports.
On Thursday, November 11th, the world will pause to celebrate the contributions of millions of men and women around the world who fought in World Wars I and II. The Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, says more than 800 men and women from the Bahamas fought alongside those men and women, and they must never be forgotten.
As we commemorate Remembrance Day this week, I'm extremely privileged to present poppies to great Bahamians. On behalf of the people of Grand Bahama, I salute you and I thank you for your service. I would also like to recognize the band leaders who have for many years assisted with the Remembrance Day celebrations on Grand Bahama. We thank you and we appreciate you.
The minister also taking the time to present poppies to those in attendance. Dolores Kelman received a poppy on behalf of her father, veteran Henry Kelman, who is the only surviving veteran on Grand Bahama.
My dad loves to tell stories, and so we got a lot of his, war stories. Even like for breakfast, we got accustomed to eating fried tomatoes, which he said was a meal, that they ate in the Army. And so it gives me great pleasure. I'm honored to accept this poppy on behalf of my dad today.
Thank you so much. District Commissioner for Grand Bahama in the Scouts Association of the Bahamas, Reginald Dean, receiving a poppy on behalf of the Scouts.
Well, receiving a poppy is significant because back in the day of school, primary, even before the primary school, it was a day we were looking forward for and to come. And also, to date, my boys and Scouts are still asking, when are we going to run another march? So it's a great thing to be able to be a part of this day.
This Remembrance Day is especially significant to the director of the Bahamas Brass Band, Pastor Barry Morris. He says they lost a fellow band member who was also a World War veteran, Bishop Cephas Ferguson.
He was laid to rest this year, and so that was a significant loss to us. And so this particular year it becomes a little more sentimental to us because we reflect on him and his contributions that he made to the band, as well as the contributions that he made to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Bishop Cephas was a remarkable man.
The 59th Remembrance Day church service will be held on Sunday, November 14th at 4 p.m. at the Mary Star of the Sea Roman Catholic Church. Ramiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Aspiring entrepreneurs will get an opportunity to move closer to realizing their dream as the University of the Bahamas Northern Campus prepares to host a two-day business expo and symposium under the themes, the challenges and triumphs of doing business in Grand Bahama, and achieving the Bahamian dream through entrepreneurship. The event will be live streamed on Facebook and is free for all who wish to attend. The University of the Bahamas Northern Campus continuing to lead the way in bringing about growth in the Grand Bahama community. Dean of Students Dr. Teo Cooper says that for the past few decades, the island's economy has been facing insurmountable challenges, and he says that one thing the community has learned from these challenges is that the island's economic growth cannot solely rely on the government nor the Grand Bahama Port Authority. And to this end, the university is looking to empower residents.
It is now equally important to empower the people, young and old, to become active participants in the economic prosperity of the island through entrepreneurship. And it is on this backdrop that the University of the Bahamas North, in partnership with the Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center, will be hosting our first Business Expo and Symposium on November 11th through 12th of 2021 this year. Over these 2 days, we hope to provide information that participants will need in order to fully understand the contextual nuances of doing business on the island of Grand Bahama, the tools and the information that they need to understand the fundamentals of building a successful business, and to expose and to engage them in dialogue with young innovators who are at all stages of already doing this successfully.
Senior Business Development Specialist at the Access Accelerator in the Small Business Development Center, Yvette O'Connell, will also serve as a panelist. She says they are excited to be a title sponsor in this event, which will benefit hundreds of entrepreneurs as they pivot their businesses in a post-Hurricane Dorian and pandemic climate.
We are passionate because we are looking for innovation. We are looking for businesses to be sustainable. We are looking for businesses to be profitable. And so this is, like I said, so pivotal because this is the time when people and businesses, they are looking for what is necessary. What do they need to do? And so this first symposium is going to give them an opportunity. So a number of stakeholders are coming together on Grand Bahama and to give them the strategies, the tools, that are necessary for business development and business growth.
Director of Advancement at the University of the Bahamas, Keturah Bab, thanking all of the sponsors that helped to make this a free initiative to all wishing to attend. The event is also open to high school and university students.
On the first day, we'll be having an opening ceremony starting at 6 p.m. and that'll be broadcasted live from our Facebook page, University of the Bahamas North, followed quickly by a roundtable discussion on the topic, the challenges and triumphs of doing business in Grand Bahama. Then on the second day, we have a full day of activities from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we will have sessions covering Entrepreneurship 101, branding your business, conducting market analysis, and financing your business as well. Followed by later in the afternoon, we will have successful entrepreneurs being featured. So like Yvette said, we have businesses who have experienced what it's like to run your business. They've been innovative with their businesses and they'll be speaking to us as well. So we invite the public again. It's free for all. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Free for everyone in the Bahamas to attend, not just on Grand Bahama.
Interested persons are encouraged to sign up via the Northern Campus's Facebook page. The Ministry of Youth, Sport and Culture ending Youth Month celebrations with a drive-up recognition ceremony at the C.A. Smith Building. Outstanding youth who were nominated by various organizations were rewarded for their efforts. In attendance was Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie. She congratulated all of those who were honored for a job well done.
I am so excited to be here. It is the end of Youth Month, and it's good to see that our young people are being celebrated for outstanding achievements. And they have been identified and nominated and recognized by their organizations for showing stellar performance throughout the year. And so, you know, I love young people, and I communicate a lot with young people, so it's an exciting day. I know they're exciting to receive these awards.
Minister Moxie noting that her ministry will continue to lend support to the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture.
Sometimes you hear of youth not doing great things in the community. You hear of all of the negative. So I'm happy we're here today to actually celebrate great achievements and for young people who are doing wonderful things. And so I will, of course, continue to support them and promote them and see how we can help from the Ministry for Grand Bahama to continue to assist the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture in their endeavors.
Stay with us. There's more news right after this break.